There's a need for an executive session tonight under CRS 246402, legal advice, board to conference with an attorney for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific matters. I'd like to have a motion to move into executive session.
So,
Motion to move in.
all right, second.
Any discussion?
I'd like to know what the specific matters are
To conference with an attorney.
regarding.
And Mr. Chair, my advice would be not to disclose that because it would jeopardize the attorney-client privilege to disclose specific matters.
Thank you.
I won't be attending.
Roll call, Monica, please.
Ms. Archuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
No.
Mrs. Quintana?
Aye.
Mr. Roller?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Mr. Thomas is excused. So let's go ahead and get started with this study session. Let the record show it's 5:25. Meeting with Lisa Medler and Randy Black with the Board of Education. So I think let's go down there and sit in the chairs down there and have a conversation. How are you, man?
You guys ready? How much time we have? Bell to bell.
You have 25 minutes, or 35 minutes.
35 minutes. Who's keeping time?
Monica.
Connie can see the clock.
So this is sort of conversation 2 with Lisa and I in this. It's my third conversation with you guys.
6:30. Yeah, we have an hour and 5 minutes actually. So.
6:15. Okay.
We're trying to keep it short.
Break here and there, huh?
So the core topic is leadership in a turnaround culture. Okay? So Lisa's going to be bringing the wisdom from the turnaround side, and I'm going to be bringing maybe not wisdom, but insights from around the state about good to great governing, and maybe as especially applied to a challenging turnaround kind of a situation. Is that okay? So my first thought is to give you a glimpse of a working draft from my computer from just about 2 hours ago. We had 5 respondents to that SurveyMonkey, which was a form of, you've been working on a superintendent evaluation process and tool, and so what you just accomplished was a form of a tool for board evaluation. Okay? So, sorry for the complications here. So the thought would be, you guys take a glimpse of this, and then I would just like to pick these up afterwards. But it might give us something to talk about in terms of next steps. Next steps.
I passed it down.
Oh, they'll catch up with it.
Okay.
But first, the praise. You guys have been doing some diligence here recently about board work, doing your best for kids. And so whether it's the conversations we've had, the SurveyMonkey that you've just completed as an evaluation appraising instrument, or the coffee that we just had yesterday, we have lots of things going on that are clues to you guys doing what we call continuous improvement. And my thought is that's a breakthrough of some kind. So I'm going to go quiet, and you guys can just look at these results. But the idea is a quick glance, and then I'd like to make a proposal. Okay. As I've watched you guys and been around and in these conversations, it felt to me like there was a lot of what we call congruency in the results. There weren't patterns where there seemed to be different viewpoints, big different viewpoints about different strengths, habits, or efforts. So that is a good sign that you guys are basically speaking the same story, assessing the same work. Okay? So here comes the proposal. With your permission, I'm going to draw up a straw man. That means a straw man proposal designed for you to pull apart, like the Scarecrow in the Wizard of Oz. Straw man. But that the straw man would be a strategic framework for you guys. The idea is that within 2 months, we would develop it to a point of a public declaration of your purpose, your core values, your core roles within the governing function, that kind of a thing. But it would be me working with 2 of you. You'd need to appoint 2 people to work with me to put together this straw man. Okay? So there's the simple working draft of your first appraisal. My proposal is that you appoint 2 people to work with me to propose that straw man.
So what would that look like, Ryan?
Remember the left column in the We Me collection? If you'd like another copy, we got these right here. But the left column in almost all of our highly strategic teams declare your purpose for the sake of the kids, your core roles, your goals. I got to this proposal when I took a look at your goals. You have some goals in the left column already of your agenda sheet, but I'm not sure they match up or they're totally aligned to the goals that are driving your management side. So just to kill another tree, I'll pass around this stack of sheets. The first section on this sheet that you'll see is your left column agenda sheet, set of goals, and then the next section after that is a set of goals that your management folks are working and progressing on. The idea is to have a simplified strategic framework to focus your time, energy, blood, sweat, and tears. Okay? And your agenda then would become aligned to that kind of framework. You would protect that agenda as a team of adults trying to do good work for kids. Okay? Here's the concept of what we're talking about. The left column would be a public declaration, good for you to stay focused, good for your constituents to know what the heck you're doing for the sake of kids. Okay? So, by the way, the request for 2 people to volunteer or be appointed is part of what we call championing. Like Harvest, I think you've got a technology side, so at some point, if we're really down the road, am I totally wrong? Oh my gosh, what is it? Finance, but it's something with technology too, no?
Looking at screens.
Okay, so I'm going to pick on you for finance. The idea behind a champion within a board of adults aligned to your great governing is that you could become the champion of the board's learning, the board's development of its financial strength. Make sense? Because the idea behind champions is they got passion, they may have insights, that they have a desire to learn and to help their peers. Okay? You might have a community engagement champion in the midst. I'm not sure who it might be, but the idea is that we identify champions as we go to empower and inspire the board to next level work. So this would be basically a practice of an element called champions. Okay? But you guys can think about it, do your own thing here, but it'd maybe be nice for me to walk out of here tonight with a sense of who would like to be a champion with this strategic framework. Anybody interested? Anybody? Not talking Dr. J, we're talking board members.
Hey, Dave, you've taught for 27 years or something, so you've got a lot of experience there.
Yeah, but it's time consuming. I got so many things going on.
My thought is it would be probably one face-to-face and some online phone conference kinds of things. Pretty easy.
And I would suggest Bill, because he's a PhD, he has some knowledge in academic things that would work to put on the side,
So any other encouragements? This is pretty
There you
fun,
go.
the encouragement going on here.
And I recommend Miss Q.
What, yeah?
37 years in the district, yep.
Oh, Dave beats me.
Yeah, but Dave, he got to golf.
He busy.
Oh, I
he got to
have a husband I have to take care of.
And his name is Larry.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mr. Mo-
Yeah.
Bill's saying, I heard a yeah.
I don't mind doing it,
Okay,
but I don't want to preempt anybody.
Dave. What are you thinking? Connie, what are you thinking? Harvest, you can get in this if you want.
I have to work. I have so much. They retired. They have retired.
You guys, this is not, we're not talking big time consuming things here.
Mr. Rowland. Yes.
Okay, so you guys, I'm gonna run out of this place thinking Bill will be a champion. You guys can think about it, sleep on it. Sound good?
And you said, what does the champion do? What's the role? Just to
Strategic framework.
The idea is you start identifying people's love-to-dos or their passion, where they have energy to pursue something, a learning, a next level. They may have dreams. They can help the board dream. Futurescaping is what we call that. You may have a planner. You may have somebody who's an organizational Monica-like person that just loves organizing, and that person can become a champion of your calendar, your planning and engagement kinds of things. Okay, just an idea.
Is there a champion like just to make sure that our athletics are running smooth, or is there something for that?
Every team's different in terms of the champions they have, but it'll come out of the uniqueness of each individual.
What you love to do.
Yeah. And then the idea is that it aligns to what the board wants to do for the sake of kids. You know, the law, the big, thick Colorado State law book for schools just says one thing over and over again about our work. It says the board will, the board shall, the board will. It is so almost nothing about individual work. It's not funny. Our moral responsibility is doing this work together for no money. Right? You're not getting paid. Is that okay? And so when you have a system and a moral challenge, like a turnaround effort, it really behooves, it is like a constant call for adults to step it up with civility, engagement, listening, leadership that is effective, not wandering, that kind of stuff. And it's on you guys.
Yeah.
Are you lobbying for
Yes.
our...
I already picked you.
I know,
You
but
switched today. That ain't right.
I agree with Harvest. I think you'd be great on it.
Yeah. That's two, Dave. One more. That's consensus.
Unless you really have a passion to do it, Mr. Rolla. Either one of you would be good because you have experience in the district. You kind of understand what we're trying to get to.
He's been very active in the community. How many have a ball field named after him? Because all his coaching, all his community work.
Tell you what, let's sleep on it. One of you will wake up tomorrow or realize sometime soon that you want to do this. It'll be clear to you.
I'll do it.
Really? It's great. Okay, so I will get back to the two of you, and we're going to work on this project. The idea is we call out your work, we nail it, focus it, and you continuously improve it over time. So it's a living kind of frame. But my thought is it is essential for you to lead well. It's like having a set of standards or marks that you can measure yourself to. Like when you just did this survey, this appraising, you really didn't have any ownership marks. You didn't have any "we will provide." We didn't have any agreement on that kind of stuff. That's what we're going to have. Like Harvest, I still don't get what you do for the paycheck side of your life. But if it's financial management, no. What is it? You have some standards of operation, don't you? You have some things you got to measure up to. That's what we're trying to develop for you guys. In the words of a third grader in Lake City years ago, when we asked her what we were getting to what the board was doing in the library, I think I told you guys the story. Teachers are supposed to be all about teaching, and bus drivers are all about bus driving. What is it school boards are supposed to be all about? And she yelled into the library, school boarding. Real simple concept. So this is an extension of that third grader's wisdom. To be known for a function for the sake of the kids. That's it. Okay? So as you lead this culture with a turnaround effort, you're going to find your time dominated by what you're hoping for out of that culture in terms of improvement. Bill and I were talking about just a second ago about where we find turnaround cultures in terms of student achievement. You're going to be raising that mark. That tide will rise. It's already starting to happen in small increments. As you steward this effort, you're going to want to measure that, celebrate that, affirm the stories, have this place populated by the folks who are making that change happen. And they will do it the more they're aligned and hopeful about your leadership with that very same thing. That it's not just them doing this for the kids, but it's also you guys stepping out. Make sense? So I know I'm talking too much. You want to go through some turnaround things, Lisa? So everything we talk about with leadership effectiveness would align to lifting up your turnaround culture.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep. So I think Randy and I have committed to joining you for some of these working meetings at least once a month for the next few months. And so I feel like the beginning of this discussion, as we try to plan some of this out, that framework's actually, I think, really important to the discussion around the turnaround work. And ultimately it's, well, what is your as a board's role within the turnaround work? So for tonight, as you're working on, what is there? Do you have something you guys want to share?
Notes.
Yeah.
He was explaining what he really doesn't like. Now I get it. And now I am scared.
Uh-oh. Okay.
But just hold on to your wallet.
Uh-oh.
Sorry.
Okay. So tonight I have some things to just sort of kind of reset, kind of get the same information in front of all of you. But we can take this conversation in a lot of different directions. So some of this is, I have not planned out every moment of this discussion. Some of this is where do you want to take it, and then where do we want to take the next couple months of checking in. And then I'll do a report out a little bit later tonight during the formal part of the meeting just on updates since the last time I saw you guys. So we don't have to spend time now on that. This is more that work and just making sure that everyone's been brought up to speed and that we're all talking about the same place. Does that sound good? Or do you guys have questions? Something that you really want to make sure we're hitting tonight? Because maybe I'm lucky and I hit it. Okay.
Okay. Before, all right. My concern is I've got probably a partial picture of where we are, where the district is, and in particular vis-a-vis CDE. And I want to kind of know whether I'm warm or cold or hot, in terms of how close am I to, I want to make a generalization and have you kind of tell me whether, that's kind of where we are, if I'm in the ballpark. And that is it. I think that you are encouraged by what you've seen in the district in terms of the district putting in place data collection systems, but you're a little discouraged that it's only being done now rather than 6 months or a year ago. Now, so I guess you're
Yep.
not
You're,
into that. So
you're
it seems
hot,
like,
right? Is that one of my choices?
So that's where we, okay, so then I want to get, if I can, 25 words or less, a historical context for this, because we've been in turnaround for 6 years. So I assume, and I don't even know, I apologize what your title is, but I'm going to call you an overseer. Okay, you're an overseer for.
So I've been calling
for-
myself an accountability support manager for you.
Accountability support manager.
Right.
I like overseer better. Okay, it's just shorter. Instead, one word instead of 3. So, because I'll forget the other one.
Okay.
So, how have you been with you've been overseeing the district for how long?
How long has it been? 2 years? I think I've been working with you guys.
It started like
Yeah,
2 years, so-
yeah, it's been about 2 years.
So, why wasn't the district able to begin implementing those data collection systems either 2 years ago when you came in, or with the predecessor, your predecessor? I have no idea who it was, but I assume that there was one because we've been in turnaround for some time. And yet, the disconnect for me is that after 6 years, we're only now starting to put in place the instruments that should have been one of the first things we did.
Right.
And I don't know why.
Can I respond to you? Your question is, you say we've been in turnaround 6 years. Yes, we have, but the board did not know until 3 years ago. The previous superintendent, and I'm not, 2 previous superintendents did not inform the board that we were in turnaround. So we did not know until we got a new superintendent, who was the predecessor before Dr. J, that finally says, you know what, you know that you're in turnaround. And the board, and I think I was the only board member here, the rest are all new, and Ms. Quintana's husband was with me, knew that we were the 2 to know that we're in turnaround. And we had no clue because we were not invested. That's why we're so behind. We actually lost 2 years, or maybe 3. 2 years, because we got 3 and then we got the extra year. So we lost like 2 years of getting organized.
Okay, so does CDE have as a overseer, do they have any responsibility to inform the board that they're in turnaround?
So, yes, and we have documentation as such. So documentation was sent to superintendent and to the board president over time, and we've been able to pull that. But this is years ago.
But so
Regardless, and I think we've had this conversation in the past before, and I feel like the sentiment has been, for whatever reason, the district is where it is. We all have theories on why that is. I think that the report that the commissioner put together with help from staff such as myself for the hearing last spring when the state board directed action has some of our theories on why the district's not where it is. And we did that in partnership with the district as well. And I think there's multiple reasons. I think flow of information is an issue here. I think kind of keeping that focus and a sense of urgency is another issue. I think transition is a big issue, and that was a common theme throughout. Transition in district leadership, in school leadership, even within the board. And every time, and for some reason, this community, this school system is really vulnerable to that. And so when there's been transition, it's almost like starting from scratch. And so I think that is showing, right? There was a transition to Dr. Brago and his staff, and so it's not that there weren't data systems in place before, and that there wasn't progress monitoring in place before, but it's just with that transition, a lot of those practices just went away. People left, and then they had to be rebuilt. And so that's when I felt like I needed to bring it to your guys' attention that I can't even tell you how kids are doing or how the district's doing in regards to the turnaround plan because those systems are still being built. I'm now seeing evidence that they're headed in the right direction, and you're right, it is very encouraging. But precious time has been spent in building them rather than on perfecting them to really work it to your advantage.
A strategic issue for me is that whether we're talking about policies or strategies, see, I think one of the board's responsibilities is to adopt policies and strategies that transcend any particular administration. You see, so that we should, if we had data collection systems in place that the board says this is a priority to have, not delegating it to whoever happens to be the superintendent, is saying this is for the board to decide. We want these systems in place, and the board works that out with CDE, so that in the past, you see, if that had been done, and then we have a change of personnel, it doesn't matter, because the new person coming in has a system that's up and running and working, and that person just picks up with those same things. Now, they may tweak it, but they don't just throw out the whole system. And so that's kind of what I'm advocating for, and I would like to see us somehow get there. When we talk about policies, our group, the board, has discussed that quite a bit. And I mean, I'm going to bring this up, but one of the things that was upsetting to me is that there are a couple of really hot button items in this district. One is the literacy program. And regardless of what I want or think is valuable, see, I think it's important for the board representing the community to say, this is what our community wants, and this is a board policy. And then the superintendent, whoever that person might be, comes in knowing what's expected in terms of their job performance. We have English only, Spanish only, a mix. There's 20 ways to Sunday to define that. But if the board were to set a policy, adhere to that, so we get consistency for the kids, we don't turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. We have consistency, and so whoever cycles through our system comes into an established set of policies.
That's
and
good, Bill.
The second,
clarity, consistency.
Well, and then
second.
Okay, I can stop there. But I mean, so that's the thing that I find extremely frustrating, and I don't know how to get there. And I know my colleagues will say it's too much of I, but I'm certainly open to have all of you offer your suggestions.
A key stewarding function clearly is, among our highly effective teams, sustained focus, clarity, consistency with the wildly important. So you're on to something pretty big. I was thinking a few minutes ago about just confirming to you guys, there's something growing inside CASB and CDE about the importance and the value of the governing community leadership culture. That's you guys really taking the lead or being very functionally engaged with turnaround efforts. And that's relatively new. It's largely been an engagement across the country on the management, the paycheck side of things.
Right. Yeah. So this is a real new way of doing business for Randy and for me. We've always worked together, but We've never done anything like this before, so we're trying out some things. And part of it is, I feel like my job with you guys is to provide information and that progress monitoring, that some of that accountability flavor. I know that we're only going to get so far if that's where we focus, and so that capacity building, that support, that technical assistance that Randy can bring, I think that's why we need to work together. So that's why you see us doing this, because this is not easy work, and he can't just focus on capacity building without the information, and I can't just focus on just this without the capacity building. So we're trying. You are working with us as we're trying to work through some of how to build this together. So I feel like you've thrown a lot on the table, which I really appreciate. I definitely want to have some time for discussion. I definitely want to reground on some of the information side. So again, this is your guys' work session, and I'm going to look to the other 4 members. Where do you want to take it? Do you want to have more of that strategic discussion where Dr. Hyde is going? Do you want me to jump into this? Where do you guys want to take this?
Either way is okay with me. We do need the information as to what are we meeting, what we need to do. We also need to focus on really what we're going to do.
What he's bringing up. Mm-hmm. Okay. You guys, you want to weigh in?
Oh, go ahead.
Do you have some kind of up-to-date stuff? I mean, because we kind of cut you off at the very beginning.
No. Some of this is regrounding. Some of this will look familiar to you. I'm not sure about you just because I haven't been able to present some of this while you've been on the board, so I'm just going to kind of hand this around. So this document should look familiar to you guys. I've shared it before. It has it's the 101 stuff. It's the basics on the accountability clock. This one is something I just pulled together recently that lays out a timeline for the next few months that I want on your radar. And then on the back side is just reference information on the schools and their plan types and the years they are on the clock, right? Some of this is just, I think there we need.
Jonathan?
Yeah.
You have an extra.
Yeah. There should be plenty of copies. There you go.
We're killing trees. It's coming around.
Okay. So am I right? Like, would this be a helpful refresher just to kind of revisit the clock process, revisit what some of the options are, and then really tailor it for you guys in terms of what is coming up these next few months? Yeah. Here you go. Nope, they're two the same. Yeah, but I'll leave this. Okay. So just to remind you, so some of this is talking about the accountability clock process in terms of, approaching the end of the clock. You guys made it to the end of the clock. You went through that hearing last spring. But you've got another visit coming up, right, with the state board this next fall. But there's some steps in there that I want you guys to be aware of.
That refers to the timeline?
Yeah, so let's go ahead and start with the timeline. We'll couch it in terms of what is in front of you, and then we're going to refer to this. I'll let you know when we're going to refer to the sheet. So I'm looking at the green side here. So right now, the district's implementing the turnaround plan and monitoring progress, right? For both the district and for the high school. Right now, I want to point out that you've got Central Elementary, that's year 5. So they're approaching the end of the clock. You've got another school there that's where we're starting to move forward with them as well. So the state review panel is visiting with them, I believe, May 14th. Yeah, like coming up soon, right? So Dr. Hyde, I'm going to refer to this form because these guys have been through this. So this hopefully is more of a refresher. There's a little bit of a blurb here about who the state review panel is, but that's a group of essentially educational peers that are coming in external to this district, so nobody from this district's on the panel, but they're coming in and they're doing a site visit at Central Elementary. They've got a protocol. It's all been laid out in the law as to what they're looking for. And then they are doing an objective review of how are things going. Is there leadership in place that can turn this school around? Is this a good investment? You know, are there other options around? I mean, they're really doing a pretty thorough review, and then they're coming up with a recommendation to the state board on what to do at the end of the clock.
Here's a simple question. Why is Central Elementary the school that's up for this visit as opposed to any other school?
Sure. Well, I anticipated that question,
you're
and it's on the back.
Okay.
So if you look at the years there in that right-hand column, so you've got Adams City High School, year 7, they've already gone through that process. They got to the end of the clock. They're now on a directed action. They have that written determination. Central Elementary's entering year 5. That's the end of the clock by law. So something needs to happen. So that's triggering this whole process. DuPont Elementary's year 4. So they're creeping up there. We're keeping an eye on them. So, you know, I want to get them on your radar as well. And then we've got Kemp at year 3, Monaco, Hanson, and Rose Hill. So they're earlier on the clock, okay? So you've got folks in different places, and we've been so focused on the high school and on the district because you went through that hearing last spring. I didn't want you to lose track of the fact that you've got other schools that they're coming up, and we need plans in place for them. And I think your district's been working on that, and that's been kind of integrated with your current district plan, but you guys need to be really aware of that, and you need to be asking questions about that as well, right? Does that help answer why Central?
This is a good visual.
Yep, good. As a part of the beginning of the end of the clock process, preparing for that, the state review panel comes in. They are going to provide a report. That report's going to be made available by June. Okay? You guys will get a copy of that. Your superintendent will get a copy of that. The state board will get a copy. Okay? As a part of that process, they're making recommendations on what they think should be next steps. If you want to turn it over, in that colorful rainbow chart, that lays out the possible options that they have to choose from. They can't make up another option. They have to choose from this list, and that is change in management. So that's similar to like what you have now with Beyond Textbooks, where an external partner was brought in and they are managing an operation within the school. Charter school conversion is another possibility. Innovation status, which the district has explored in the past, and it just wasn't happening. So, you know, we can certainly talk. Well, we can dig in on all of these. School closure, and then that last one, district reorg, is obviously that's aimed at the district, not at the school. So those are, you know, those. When people read through those, they don't feel like they're necessarily great options. They don't feel very good. And so I think I would propose in one of our future meetings that we really dig in much more deeply beyond just the titles and talk about, well, what does that mean? What does that mean in MS-14? What does this mean for our community? What does this mean for our schools, for our kids? Because this is, you know, it's better to talk about it and get prepared, I think, than to just let it be done to you guys. Okay? But this list is important too. So I'm going to go back to this chart now, okay, to the timeline.
Can I just ask one question?
Yeah.
It will help. In the event, like that school is in year 5, Central Elementary, and if they were to move up.
Off of the clock. Yep.
It's only turnaround and priority improvement you're on the clock.
Yep.
If you get to improvement or above, you're off the clock.
Yeah. Yeah.
Under current law.
In the current law.
Yeah. The
Exactly.
proposed law would make it 2 years of consecutive performance to exit the clock. Exit.
It's getting tough.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's really coming from we've been implementing this accountability system for a while and observing that there's a lot of schools bouncing in and out. And that's not doing anyone any favors. So I think it's really, we want to see some consistency, or the state wants to see some consistency before saying, yep, we don't, you're good, you're on your way. And then to Dr. Brago's point, so if the district, if the high school, and if central remain on the clock, if any of them remain on the clock, then the rest of this timeline goes into effect, okay? So let's just say, for the sake of conversation, that all three stay on the clock. I'm not saying that's what I think is going to happen. Please don't read it that way. It's more, we're just exploring possibilities here. If the district and the high school stay on the clock, then the state review panel is going to come back and they're going to look at the district and at the high school, because they haven't been in for a while and they need to get prepped for the state board to say, hey, this is the direction that you pointed them in, and we're coming in as an outside group to say, yeah, stay the course, or maybe actually a new action needs to go into effect. So that's certainly a possibility.
What's the interplay between school ratings and district ratings?
So you mean in terms of the calculation?
Yes.
Okay. So they are calculated essentially independently, but it's the same type of criteria. So just to take an extreme example, it is possible to have a district on the accountability clock, and this has happened, and not a single school on the clock. That has happened. Or vice versa. You can have
just tell them, what would that look like?
So it would look like schools maybe on the cusp, maybe an improvement, close to priority improvement, and the district, maybe it's a smaller district where the numbers of kids are too small to factor into the calculations for the schools, but then when you look at the district, they're calculating everything. And so they're looking at the broader system and are aggregating in more populations.
So that would it's an exceptional situation.
Yeah, but I'm just letting you know it's
but
part
it's
of
possible.
But it is
It's not
possible,
like-
but they're calculated independently. So it's not that Adams 14 is on the clock because it has X number of schools on the clock. It's on because of literally the entire district's performance is considered and looked at by different groups and then calculated that way. Okay, so anyway, so it's possible for like the high school to come off the clock but still have the district remain on the clock, things like that. But anyway, so the state review panel would come in and make another recommendation to the state board. Okay, and then in the fall, you guys would be meeting with the state board to talk about the district and the high school, and about the progress on the directed action, how that's going, and really, I think the state board would be making a decision on should you stay the course for another year, or do we need to make some alterations in that plan? Okay, and then central. That would be just like the spring hearing. It would be another spring hearing. It wouldn't be built into that fall hearing. Okay.
This early fall one is like in September or something.
And you'll notice I was pretty vague because we needed to, it depends on when the report from the state review panel comes in. But my guess it would be more like November.
Can I see your?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I'm going to try to clarify what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go in front of the state board, and you said if the high school were not to get off the clock, then they could choose one for us.
They could stay the course and say, it seems like you're making a progress, we want to see this out.
Right.
Or they could say, actually, this seems like not enough change is happening, and they have the ability to then say, we're going to direct a different action.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is another possibility. So, but that, this is kind of something else to prepare for, along with getting ready for the central elementary hearing in the spring. Again, if they remain on the clock. Okay, I feel like I just threw a ton of information at you. What other questions do you guys have on that?
So really, go ahead.
I think your message to us is to focus on turnaround. I think that's. I
I'm
think that's what
giving you
you're saying.
information.
Yes. But you're giving us information about
yeah.
what needs to happen. It needs to
Yeah.
happen like now, not yesterday,
Yeah.
as Dr. Hyde said. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it's been going on for 6 years.
Yeah.
We haven't been able to take care of it.
Yeah.
Now it's right here in front of us.
Yeah.
We need to focus specifically on this issue. That's what I think I hear you say.
You've got, yeah, so you've got what's been in front of you all of this year, plus potentially more. You know, my fear with some of this is a lot to take in. And I'll just be honest, because I've been working with you guys for a long time, is I don't want you to panic either, right? Like sometimes when people panic, they will do some kind of extreme things. So some of this is staying focused, staying urgent, spending your time where it needs to be spent.
And some people would argue that one of the biggest challenges for turnaround cultures is that sustained focus and staying with it, staying conscious, staying in it, celebrating progress. But the long-term thing is just developing a culture of achievement, excellence, and perpetuating that. That's the long-term vision.
I don't know if I could add some light to it, but I was new to Colorado. This is all new to everyone, right? Because we're like the first schools going through the first district. So our first part, Dr. Hyde and all the others last year was because we were new going through this, we had to write the plan. So we chose one of those, and we actually wrote the turnaround plan for the district and turnaround plan for the high school. Now we're in another year. Now we're implementing that plan. And again, because this is all new, that we're trying to figure out all the steps. And like you said, whatever the Department of Education is asking us for, we have to make sure we have those accountability systems in place so that we can document all that stuff. And again, a lot of those things are being created as we, this year, because all of these need to be done. So hopefully we're putting everything in place and we're trying to work with the CDE, but it's all new. And as I said, our main goal is to, if we can help the high school get off the turnaround, and really some other elementary schools too, that would be the goal. And that way the district would not be in turnaround, and we go in a different direction. But it's all new. I mean, not just for us, but any other school or district that is in our category. It's we're like the first ones going through this. So we're having to develop a lot of instruments and data to support what we're doing.
And Ms. Medler, so are the prior
At least you call
plans-
me overseer. I actually really appreciate that.
are the prior plans that prior administrators submitted, were they found lacking or insufficient or?
So when you say plans, I'm gonna make the leap to the Unified Improvement Plan, the district's plan for what they were doing.
Whatever plan Dr. Bragg was referring to.
Well, this is the turnaround plan. It didn't exist before. This is only the first.
So this is,
This is
it was
the first-
only in year 6 that we got a turnaround plan submitted, and CDE was okay with that?
No, so that's why I was saying I'm making the leap back to, you guys have talked about UIPs, Unified Improvement Plans. And so the district and the schools have been submitting those over, the last 8 years, I believe. And so CDE has every year been reviewing those and providing feedback. Now, were we okay with them? We always had feedback. There was always room for improvement. But yeah, I mean, this district has, there were some real promising practices that were happening in other administrations. There really were. And then those people left and it just disappeared. Right.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, so we didn't pass through that.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
so
a
I'm
shame,
not.
that's a shame.
Oh,
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
That's where we were.
Yeah. So that just helps kind of fill in some of the
Yeah,
gaps.
it's historically,
Yeah.
at least I know
And that's
what the
when-
situation.
One time you came in,
Yeah.
and I remember I asked you, so there's nothing in writing? And you said, no. Do you remember that, Mr. Archuleta? And that's when the fire got lit under us. Because we trusted the former administration that this paperwork was getting done. but it did not get done. And that's why we're where we're at now. And the directive we've given him is, you need to get us out a turnaround.
Yeah, so what and I know we're kind of running out of time,
Yeah.
but I want to just put this out here for, as a request for sometime, maybe this spring,
Yeah.
okay? I would love to have you give us an overview of what Plan A is. Okay? I mean, because we talk about professional development, we talk about beyond textbooks, we talk about community outreach, okay? I assume that those are all components of Plan A, which Plan A is what we're trying to implement.
Yep.
But I mean, I hear everybody say, we've got to turn it around, we've got to turn it around. Well, just because we say that a zillion times doesn't make it a plan. And I'd like to know what the plan looks like
Yeah.
operationally. And that I have never seen. I looked at the, and I'm not going to launch into it, but
Yeah.
the PIU or UIP or whatever it was. I didn't think that did the job. So
right.
I would love to have a briefing where you come in and tell us from CDE's point of view what you see as our plan. And if Dr. Bragley, if you wanted to participate in that or something and try to, and you know, it doesn't have to be this long thing, but just operationally, what are we trying to do? Because I think we're, as I said the other night, to me it looks like this salt and pepper approach. We scatter dollars here, scatter dollars there. And I don't see an operational focus. And I was going to ask you and then Ms. Frazier or something, was field the question. And I
Alex
said,
Frazier?
how do,
Or is it-
was it Alex Frazier? You were there. Oh, what was her name?
What was the topic?
No, what was her name?
It was Alex.
Alex
Was it
Frazier.
Alex? Yeah. So she's with CDE with our early literacy.
And I was, you know, again, one of the things that will really move the district forward is if we can show on an operational basis where our money is best used to promote student achievement. And right now, I don't believe it exists. And I went into the CDE website looking for that information, and I didn't find anything in there addressing those issues. Now, maybe I'm looking in the wrong place, but anyway, so that's what I
In the
again,
last,
that's a
do we
big
have a
issue.
couple minutes still? Can I, to wrap up?
We're fine.
So, like I said, you know, we're trying to get into at least a little bit of a routine. I'll be back in a month. I hope, we'll see if Randy can join us. We're not sure yet. And then the following month. So we've got a little bit of time to do some additional digging in on some of this. We can, I feel like what Dr. Hyde is asking for is, can we actually take that turnaround plan and look at it at a high level so that you guys have a better understanding of what's in there, what you guys have agreed to, what the district's been trying to work on. I would actually recommend to, so then, and what is your role within that plan? There seems to be some fogginess around that. And then I would also propose, remember, we've got the stuff kind of in the future to prep for. I'd really like to spend some time digging back into this so that you're not caught by surprise and that you're coming in being strategic and ready to talk to the state board. Now, if you come off the clock, great. We spent a little bit of fun time together talking about scary things. Hopefully that will be the case. But we got to spend some time here too. Okay, so we've got at least 2 more months. I can keep coming back if that's what you guys want. But if we can sequence that out, how does that sound? Or does anyone else have something else they'd like to get out on the table?
I just want to say, I think it's very good what you just said, that all our board members have to look at that turnaround plan, which is on our website, and then you can start, once you look at that, bring it back to Lisa, and we talk about, here's our plan, guys. How are you guys going to help our board support that plan, what everyone has to do? Because again, we are gonna get off the turnaround, but we just have to be focused on that.
Fire equipment now. When we submit the UIP plan, and y'all comment on the plan, is it on the website? Because I don't see it. Can I get the feedback?
Yeah, so so it gets publicly posted around this time. Like we just posted them now.
Okay.
So we just do it annually. I mean, actually, the district could be updating it more often, and we'll update them. But typically, it's just done once a year. But you guys, as a board, should be aware of it. And the district and CDE worked really hard to at least try and align what was approved in that turnaround plan with the UIP. But there's still some work to do, right? And nothing should be a surprise
If
there for you.
if we look up turnaround plan, Adams 14.
I'll send you. How about if I send you guys a link?
Okay, yeah, because I'm familiar with UIP, but I didn't think that was the turnaround plan.
It's not, but we want them aligned.
Yeah.
They need to work together. Yeah.
But you're saying you want to see our plan? It should be on our website, on the Adams 14 website.
Under turnaround plan, what's it called?
Turnaround plan.
A management plan? Okay.
There's a lot. So, unless I hear anything else, I'm going to take this as, at least for the next 2 meetings, we're spending time digging into the turnaround plan and the UIP as needed, talking about your roles, and then also starting to get into kind of some of the stuff that's coming up in prep for the state board meeting. I'm getting nods. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, guys.